What internet marketing expert should you spend your valuable time listening to? Listen to someone who has over 20 years of web marketing experience and hundreds of website marketing success stories. That man is Aaron Sparks from Site Strategics. And this is Edge of the Web Radio.
We have an article from Search Engine Watch by a lady. Rebecca Murtaugh. I'm very sorry. It's about the definition of a website. For years, the website has been defined as a computer term representing pages on the World Wide Web. You can look it up at on Wikipedia. This outdated perception is holding brands back from embracing the website for what it really is. I agree with Rebecca in this respect. Yep. Out with the old. Yeah. Out with the old. Unfortunately, the current outdated definition of a website has perpetuated the view of a website as an exercise in technology rather than a function of business. And that's really, really important. Even Merriam-Webster definition currently defines the website as a group of World Wide Web pages, usually containing hyperlinks to each other and made available online by an individual, company, education institution, government, or organization.
Yeah.
Okay, so what? A website is actually just how things link together on the internet.
Yeah, I've always told people that it's the brochure versus the handshake. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That your website, if you want just a brochure site that's static and doesn't communicate anything, it doesn't have a path of engagement and anything like that, and that's unfortunately what most people think it is.
Absolutely.
And what it's become is it's become a portal for people to come into. And yeah, you're absolutely right. People have the wrong attitude about it. But in all honesty, most of the listeners are probably out there thinking this too, is we finally got them to believe that they need a website.
Yeah.
Now we're telling them, look, stop. It's not just a page. It's not just a brochure. It's more than that.
Rebecca, she has actually a new book, and we'll put that book online. She proposed a new definition for what a website is. It's a digital environment capable of delivering information and solutions and promoting interaction between people. And that's your handshake, Doug. Interactions between places and things to support the goals of the organization it was created for. That's a great definition.
It is, but I almost wish she expanded it and said that, what businesses need to worry about nowadays is their web presence. Mm-hmm. Because the audience isn't always at your website or coming to your website. And so now it's a lot more important for companies to be where their audiences are, which, yes, on the web, having a website where people are coming in, but you also have to be on social and video and, maps and, everything else.
Absolutely. In the light of the way the website has been defined over the years, it isn't too difficult to understand why in 2013 those responsible for building websites continue to view the website in the same way they did back in the 1990s. Now, it's not a project. Okay, and she had a great reference of the gauntlet of projectdom. A project has a beginning and an end.
Right.
Okay. There's a time when the project is deemed to be complete. This flies in the face of what a website is, or at least what it should be. In today's ever-changing digital landscape, a website is never done, ever. Period.
Love it. Yeah.
Website designers, developers, webmasters, the marketers that perpetuate this website as a project, for them, a website is a deliverable that quantifies a finite, measurable accomplishment. Okay, well, in a lot of ways, because it's still inside of marketing and marketing collateral, you have to at least process the origination of a website, at least to a point where it's ready for launch. But that's the thing, is that if you were launching a rocket, you just don't put it on the pad, light the fuse. Okay, there we go, we're done.
Right.
I mean, you have to guide that thing. You got to know where you're going. Yeah. I mean, there's a destination for that rocket.
There's a job to do for the rocket, not just the launch.
That's the whole thing. You have to get the concept that you are in a focused effort to communicate, to get communication out there, and be able to utilize the web medium to help help interact with other areas, other planets out there, the social media planets, the shareability, the content marketing planets, right? So this approach has been perpetuated with the perception that the website is a static product, but you have to look at it as equally vital as to the operation of as a physical storefront, office building, equipment, etc. Not surprisingly, there's a pretty small myopic view of a website as a project. There's a high percentage. There's an actual survey from whatusersdo.com that says despite 78% of being extremely or quite to the delivering of what do we say here, to the best user experience, 60% rate their brand's website as average or below average. We actually talked last week about how websites are failing. There's so many that aren't stepping up to the plate, that are actually communicating and are shareable, are interactable. Those are the things that we're wanting to break this paradigm, break this concept of what this thing is.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of business owners don't realize it either. Right. I was just talking to a designer the other day. She designed a beautiful, responsive website for a client, and the client didn't like it. Just the aesthetics, didn't care for it. So she had a static website built by somebody else who pulled out Dreamweaver and built this static website.
Right.
Doesn't work on a mobile device.
Right.
Doesn't work on tablet. Doesn't and doesn't navigate. Doesn't have no SEO whatsoever because it's statically built. And the poor business owner just looked at the aesthetics, just like you would open a brochure,
right?
But she didn't realize all of the other missing elements behind that website that actually make it work for her business, and she's not going to get any business off it.
No, that's a shame, and that type of stigma, but that type of conception of that type of aesthetic approach. You always change the aesthetics, but you have to understand the medium in which you're working now. It's not the same environment. It's not a fixed palette. There are so many different devices that are interacting with your website. You're going to upset and frustrate a user if you're not reaching out and providing them the content in the way that they want to read it, right? Hey, if you're listening to Edge of the Radio, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the changing definition of the term website. So what a website should be? A successful website is nimble. It's a nimble environment, responsive to industry developments, emerging trends, behavior of competitors, as well as meeting and exceeding customer expectations. A static environment, usually like a brochure, just like you said, is simply not enough to be sustainable for today's marketplace. So once and for all, a website is not a project. A website never ends. The problem is it's that we're looking at planning and optimization and all these different things that have to be done to accomplish a particular task, but you have to look at grooming this as a garden, as you need to focus on how to improve it to improve ROI on a regular basis. The website process should never begin with design. There's your point. Yep. Design is fun and creative, and 9 times out of 10, most brands begin with a process to build a website with a design, whether it's new or a redesign. Rushing into design without a strategic plan is one of the reasons why so many websites fail to meet the expectations and to even deliver ROI. So think about it. Design is about solving problems. If you haven't defined problems, you probably can't expect the design to actually present meaningful solutions.
Yeah.
So help the designer by first preparing a plan or a sitemap. You can get started by asking some key questions like, who is your target audience? What information do you wish to provide? How can you present it in a way that many can convert themselves to customers? That's the way to actually design, not just from aesthetics, not just from color combinations.
Because that's why people are buying from you. It's because they have a problem and they need whatever you have to fix their problem.
Absolutely.
People come to us because they're having problems with their website or their SEO.
Right.
People go to Kroger because they're hungry. There's a reason why people are buying things.
And guess what? Your palette in your color scheme, Mr. CEO or designer for that matter, may not be the color scheme that your consumers were really wanting to interact with. So you got to get it tested. You got to be able to see different iterations, and then after launch, test different design combinations. The website You got to think of it as a business asset. The bottom line is the bottom line. What good is a website that you invest $10,000, $100,000, or $1 million into if it won't support the immediate and long-term goals of the business? A website isn't a communication, technological feat, or expression of creativity. It can be these things, but it first must and foremost serve as a mission and objectives of the organization that it was built for. All right, so...
Well, and hopefully you change what you believe that mission to be, right? You know, you don't want just product and features and services and a price list on your website.
That's right.
You want your website to be engaging. You want it to pull people in. You want it to provide value to them so that they trust you. Change the vision of what you want your website to be.
And guess what? Your vision and the mission most likely will change and evolve over a period of time. And you need to be able to use that medium in order to do just techniques.
You're listening to Edge of the Web Radio with Aaron Sparks. We're online with exclusive podcasts, the latest web news, and links at edgeofthewebradio.com.